Corner to Corner. My name's Geoff, and on this week's episode of the podcast, we're talking about anything but Doctor Who.
See what you did there? I was almost going to correct you, like, what about the word you didn't speak? But he's got a plan, ladies and gentlemen. That's talent right there.
Corner to Corner.
It's corner to corner. Why is it corner to corner? Geoff, pray tell.
Well, what is there to talk about? Is Billy the Doctor?
I thought it might do something else there, but it didn't. I was playing around with some new gadgets on our studio that the developers have dropped on us.
Yeah, so why is it corner to corner? Well, what is there to talk about? Is Billy the Doctor? Been there, done that.
Done that.
Has Russell made a hash of it? Been there, done that.
Who knows?
Is it coming back at Christmas? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who cares? Even.
Geoff!
No, not me.
I see.
But, yeah, you know...
The people who don't listen to us, you mean?
Yeah. Just everyone. There's...
Someone's had a good weekend.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount to talk about in terms of new stuff. There will be new Big Finish things coming and Circuit Breaker starts soon. But for now, we felt, I suppose, exhausted of Who topics and, rather than just trying to, fill airspace with
Great, the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. We thought we'd talk about some other stuff. So,
why not?
If you like it, let us know. If you don't, then that's fine. And we'll see how we go. So I think we will end up getting on to a little bit of Who tonight because we've got a couple of voice notes. But we thought we'd talk about a couple of things that we've been up to recently. So I'm going to kick off by...
Go on, then.
How do I load up this image, Paul? There we go.
You just press it. There you go.
There's a picture of a Scottish band called Dead Pony, who I went to see up in London on Thursday evening. So Dead Pony supported a band called Against the Current that I liked very much a couple of years ago.
Is that where they came from?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I hadn't heard of them before that. And normally the rule is your support acts shouldn't be as good or better than your headliner, which was the case with Dead Pony on Thursday. The two support acts were not up to scratch. But with Against the Current, Dead Pony were easily as good as them. And they do a sort of heavy metal rock type vibe with sort of quite a lot of electronic kind of elements in as well. Great vocals from Anna, the lead singer there. Blair, the tall guy at the back, is I think rather brilliant on the guitar. So it was a great show. I went up there, was in the Underworld in Camden, very small venue. The Mosh-Pit was wild, so I stood at the top of the steps observing.
You sent me a photo that looked, when I first saw it, as if you were in the Mosh-Pit. And I was like, go Geoff, he's in the Mosh-Pit. Look at him there with his T-shirt off, like right in the crowd. But then he texted me back and said, no, I'm on the stairs, you muppet, as if I'd get involved in all that nonsense.
I mean, the music is like, it's not aggressive, it's high energy.
It was kind of like kind of middle of the road sort of rock kind of thing. I thought from the clip that you sent me anyway, it was like, jingly jangly kind of guitar drums and vocals and stuff.
Yeah, it's not sort of like aggressively heavy or anything.
No.
It's extremely loud.
It wasn't like death metal.
No, but it's not middle of the road either. It's not boring.
If you sent me a video of you watching something like that, I'd literally just rock out, mate. I'll tell you now. I'll be very impressed.
I don't go to London all that often, and every time I do, nothing seems to work properly. The tube lines weren't working properly. Just managed to get one to get me to Euston from Victoria, and then getting to Camden was a chore. And then after the show, the tube station was closed, so couldn't find a cab. Had to wait for an Uber. Took the Uber back to Victoria and got dumped at the wrong side. It was all locked up, and had to rush around and just managed to get the train. So when you're just like, don't need it. But anyway, it all worked out fine, and I had a great time. So it was good, and I bought a nice signed poster of that image as well.
Lovely.
So that was good. Yeah, good. So we thought we'd talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu tonight.
I was going to say, I was going to have more to say on the band thing. I was going to tell you an interesting story, but if you don't want to hear, it's fine. We'll just move on to the Star Wars thing. Why not? You know,
is it that the band name is not great, and it's quite a weird name, but
no, it's not that at all. It's actually really boring, to be honest with you. It's just when you said like the support act is never as good as the main act, and I was kind of thinking back through all the times I've been to a gig and where that's been the case, and it's absolutely pretty much always been the case. I think, although actually. I went to see Genesis on their Invisible Touch tour way back in the 80s. I was that was like the first big arena gig I went to. It was at Wembley Stadium, the old Wembley with a big arch, and the support act there was Paul Young, and I remember I just wanted to like. I wasn't very happy. Let's just put it that way. I was not happy at all. But my mate, who I thought was, was a cool dude, was like, "Oh yeah, it's Paul Young. Yeah. I love Paul Young, man." I'm like, "Dude, you're not my friend anymore. We can just go somewhere. Wherever I lay my hat, rig off, get out. Give me Phil Collins." And the guys, I mean, to be honest, they're kind of middle of the road by then anyway, so it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, there you go. So that was that. As I said, it's not actually very interesting at all.
Yeah, well, it's like when
cracks on with Star Wars.
U2 had Doves support them. Boring.
I went to see U2 and they did that lemon thing.
Yeah,
Pop tour. Pop Mart. And I don't remember a support act being in that at all, actually. Did you go to that? Did you see
I had to sell my ticket because I had my foot operation in the end and I was in crutches and plaster and I couldn't go. Wembley Stadium told me there was no disabled area, so I couldn't sit down. So I had to sell the ticket. But then
because they were expensive, because I remember seeing Zoo TV, which was the tour they did just off of Acton Baby and Zooropa, and that was really good. And that was relatively cheap. I think that was like 50 quid a ticket or something. And that was really, really good. And I loved that. And that was much more it's big with all the screens and everything and all the images. I absolutely loved that. But then when it came to the lemon thing, and they had this giant lemon come up stage, remember? That was what they did, the pop thing. Yeah. It was like a different thing entirely. And it was like, because it was in a much bigger venue. And I didn't enjoy it. I loved the music, but I didn't enjoy the thing. It felt much more corporatized. And I don't know, because at that point, U2 were being quite ironic anyway. And that might have actually been part of the whole vibe of the thing, deliberately, intentionally. Do you know what I mean? So, but it did feel very different, where Zoo TV was kind of raw and, and aggressive and high emotions and, lots of images and loads of media. And it was like the pop thing was... Yeah, much more corporatized.
Yeah, I mean, it's deliberately different. Yeah,
but exactly. Yeah, but they did play some of the other stuff. But it was good. Yeah. It was good, but it wasn't the same vibe. And the tickets were like twice as much. They were well over 100 quid, mate. Really? Well over a ton. Yeah.
I don't think that's out of line to ask for a stadium show.
Oh, not now. Yeah, in 2026 for sure. But back in 1990, whatever it was, or early 2000s, might be early 2000s.
No, it was 97, I think.
Was it 90? Yeah, it could have been thereabouts. Then that was my salary. I'm not kidding.
No, I can believe it. Yeah,
a saddy boy back then, mate. Tell you, I didn't earn anything. Still don't earn anything now, mate. But anyways. So yeah, we've been to see a film that we both enjoyed, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah,
and it was a Star Wars film, which notoriously Geoff doesn't like Star Wars, but as you have said on his podcast many, many times, you do like the Mandalorian and particularly his little buddy Grogu.
Yeah, I do. I like them both very much. Well, if people didn't know, when the series, I think it must have been out for a while on Disney already, and one day I thought, oh, do you know what? I'll have a look at this because people are sort of, making a bit of a thing about it. And I was just really impressed by the whole thing. It's got some really good action in it. There's sort of westerny vibe to it. I think Mandalorian
kind of thing.
That lone hero thing. I think Mandalorian's a great character. He's a really kind of classic hero type. He's sort of, good, honest, decent, upstanding. And, you could sort of say, oh, it's a bit boring, maybe because he's not got any kind of, no, but I don't think that, but what I mean is because he hasn't got any sort of, anti-hero vibe or a darker side or anything like that. But I like that he was just, he's just a really decent, old school, good time, hero. And then, when he finds Grogu, and over the course of it, they develop this really wonderful bond between them, and this father-son thing. I thought it was just excellently done. And just the whole lot was brilliant. There was lots of, I know enough about Star Wars to know, stormtroopers, and there's a bit, I think it was in the Taika Waititi episode, where there's 2 or 3 of them, and they're waiting for instructions or something.
Yeah, and they're trying to shoot some cans.
Yeah, and they're terrible,
They can't shoot them.
That's funny money. Because, everyone used to say stormtroopers can't hit things for toffee,
nice bit of self-referential comedy.
And some great monsters in it, and action, and just, a really kind of heartwarming, quite moving, pairing that's between the two of them. And then I watched the Boba Fett episodes that they were in, where they kind of got reunited again. And then the next series, which sort of did go a little bit more into the sort of, the lore of the Mandalorian, didn't it? And Casey Sackhoff's character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when the film came out, I did think, I'd really like to see that, but I sort of didn't make any plans. And then one of my dad friends said he was going to go, and did I want to come? And I thought, yeah, why not? And
why not?
I then convinced him we had to see it on IMAX, so we he swapped his tickets, and I thought it was brilliant. I had a great time in it. I thought the story itself was great fun. I didn't know, is it Rutter the Hutt? I know Jabba, so, and I thought that was it sort of subverted it a bit, because I was sort of expecting him to be, much like his dad, but he didn't want to be like that, and which kind of then had the father-son sort of theming to it as well.
True.
I had a great time with it. I thought everything about it, had really good CG. The set design was really good in it. The puppeting, the CG, the stop motion stuff that was in it. I know you weren't a big fan, but I loved the music as well. And I just think those two are bloody brilliant, really. I just thought it was great, and I think we've maybe become, some people anyway, become accustomed to things, like with Marvel again. You see a lot of things of I thought this would set this up, and they've teased this, and then I'm now disappointed that it hasn't led to this, and this must mean this, and this is a teaser for this, and
I'd hate to get on your wrong side, mate.
All that sort of thing. But I think you go and see a film, and it should work as its own thing, and I think there's a lot of people, again, particularly in Marvel, who watch and want cameos, they want teases, they want setups for things, and I thought that Mando and Grogu was great because it was just its own thing, and I've seen people saying, well, it didn't move the story along anything, it didn't set anything up, and blah blah blah. Well, it's actually really, well, it did a bit, but it was actually really refreshing that it was its own self-contained thing, because really that's what a film should be. It shouldn't all have to work as a part 2, part 3, or whatever, or link into other things. So I liked that it was just this kind of great little adventure. Well, I say little, it was pretty epic, but yeah, it did kind of set a few little bits and pieces up, but yeah, it was great, and I definitely plan to pick it up. See, I remember when this shot came out online, all the experts on Twitter were going, oh god, it's so bland, the colour grading's so flat, and I think
everyone's an expert.
Everyone's an expert. They're in the desert, in the daytime, with the sea behind them. I don't know what you expect it to look like without it being...
It's a day at the beach. See, most of my holiday photos look like that.
But it's like, it's uniformly lit, whereas, if you had like a really bright sunny day, his helmet would be overexposed, you wouldn't be able to see the top of Grogu's head because it would be shiny, you'd have shadows and bright spots. Of it. Yeah, so it's a bit like, I've sort of described Avatar in some ways. It's like everything in it is perfectly lit. you might get shadows, you might get, sunlight, but it's all like as brilliant and as beautiful as it ever could be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And looking at that shot there, that's what I think, a beach scene should look like in truth, without it being like what it's actually like when you go to the beach and the sun is bright, or, But yeah, like, it's like when people say, the airport fight in Captain America Civil War so grey and dull. It's in an airport, yeah, which is grey, and the sky is blue. I get really confused why people say these outside shots are so visually unappealing. I think you must never have seen the sky, But
have you not? No, they probably haven't, because they sit in their little basements with pizza cartons.
It's not their basement; it's their mum's.
It's their mum's basement. Oh, stop! We've been nasty to people we cannot see, but yeah, you're right. There's a lot of noise as soon as anything comes out. It doesn't have to be a movie. It could be a comic, it could be a game, it could be a TV show, whatever. There's a whole bunch of people who are just generally predisposed to hate everything as soon as you announce it, because in their defense, what they would say is, well, it's never going to live up to my expectations. It should be this, it should be that. I think a lot of people feel a great deal of ownership towards a lot of franchises, be it Star Wars, Marvel, Doctor Who, or
they do,
and they feel it's their property. I'd say I was just watching something on, I think it might have been on Blue Sky, and it was a collection of interviews with George Lucas over the years, where people had asked him in various interviews, aren't you worried about what fans have been saying about, because when Return of the Jedi came out, fans didn't like Return of the Jedi. When Phantom Menace came out, Star Wars fans didn't like Phantom Menace, and so on and so on. And it keeps going on. And I think the problem is now, because there's such a massive arena of online forums, public forums like Twitter and Facebook and what have you, where people can just gather and just amplify this kind of susurration of negativity that pervades throughout the internet. It's very difficult not to think that is the norm. It really isn't. Most people would never go online and do that, but certain people who feel strongly about it seem to think it's their right to do so. And of course they can, because there's, why shouldn't they? In a way, they can go out there and say this stuff. But George Lucas was very much of the opinion that he didn't care. He would create the films he wanted to create, and they were for children. His big defense was that, as Star Wars fans get older, they want things to be darker. They want them to be grittier and forget about the humor. And you do that, we get something like Andor, which is good. I love Andor, but it's a very different thing to the Phantom Menace, and it's a very different thing to the Mandalorian. And the beauty of it is that they all exist within the same universe and can sit alongside each other, I think, quite nicely without upsetting anything, really. So why do people get so upset about it? It's crazy.
I think you're very right there. People feel that it's their thing, and it has to adhere to a very specific view of that, which is by and large, I think, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia are doing their thing, and did they make mistakes by having Luke a recluse in the last, the most recent trilogy? I don't know, but they're trying to do something with the character, I guess, and should they have killed off Han? I don't know, but then there's other people, like my friend who I went to see Mando with. He really likes the prequels because that's what he grew up on. So
how old was he in the prequels? Was he quite young, presumably, then?
Yeah, he would have been. I mean, he's early 30s now, so he would have been probably 12 or something, 11. So, and I think we said on here before, when you saw Star Wars, you were probably 11, 12, something like that.
I was younger than that. I was working it out. I think I must have been 6 years old, late 6, nearly 7 when I saw it.
Almost the ideal audience for it. So, when my mate Craig saw the prequels, he would have been, not dissimilar age. And then there'd be people who've seen the latter trilogy who feel, really connected to it. And there was a group of kids actually behind me in Mando, and I could hear them going, that's Z2 bot, and that's so-and-so did a ... and whatnot, and they knew all the things and the aliens. I don't know what they're called. And they were naming all the robots, and I thought, okay, you've got Nerdrotic and everyone saying the film's a disaster and it's awful and blah blah blah. But here's a bunch of kids behind me
Yeah,
who are
exactly. Yeah.
loving it, and they knew all the things in it, and I've said this before as well. I think it's quite easy when you get in your echo chamber to sort of forget that sometimes this stuff isn't made for you, you know, and I don't mean you, but you know, Star Wars particularly, and was for the older audience who want something a bit darker, a bit more cerebral, perhaps. Mando and Grogu is quite clearly a family thing, you know, and it's trying to target all these different people. It must be really difficult for the creatives behind it,
I think, like I said before, all you can do is just ignore it. You've got to take George Lucas's approach and just create the thing you want to create, and people either watch it or they won't watch it.
Yeah.
If they were, and just accept there's going to be a vast swathe of people who are going to kick off about it, and just whatever, let them do them, basically.
And I do think you need to, within reason, follow your own path. I mean, there was online sort of feedback on Avatar and stuff, and a lot of that was more of Payakan or more of Varung, and so Cameron took that on board and kind of bumped up the Payakan in the third film and planned to do more with Varung in the fourth film. But I think anything that was critical, he was sort of take on. But I think essentially if it was, we don't like it, and it was sort of not a particularly valid reason, he's not going to go and change a huge part of the plot for everything because there's a group of people who don't like something. And that's what kind of has worried me a little bit with Doomsday, Avengers, like I've talked about on here before, because there's been such a an outcry from people. Is that why they've leaned back onto Steve Rogers and Thor and all this?
So they're actually responding to the
possibly
negative criticism.
Yeah, which concerns me. But we'll see. We've got months to go before that.
We've got a way to go before then. Yeah. I mean, I was quite interested in what you were saying about the story, or people saying that it doesn't pick up much of the Star Wars lore within the Mandalorian. I think there's been a lot of criticism about it from fans, mostly about that aspect, that it is its own self-contained thing. But of course, and the fact that it doesn't move that story on. But that's not the story of this movie. The story of this movie is the relationship between Grogu and the Mandalorian, and it moves that story on because this movie we see them getting closer, right? And we see Grogu. Yeah, exactly. We see Grogu taking care of the Mandalorian. So that moves that relationship. That's what this story is. All the other stuff, in a way, is it's kind of action. It's a plot to get us from A to B, and for that to allow that heart of the story, when Grogu takes care of Jindarin in the forest. And sort of brings him back to life almost. That's what the story's about. It's the strength of their bond that's been developed. And
that whole section
absolutely moves that part of it on.
And that whole section was lovely. It was
even my stone cold heart was melting at various points. And of course, I found it really funny at points as well because
like when
the character is just brilliantly comedic, and I love that they kept him a puppet.
Yeah, there's a handful of CG bits, but mostly he's a puppet, and like the bit when he built the sort of little hut type thing to put Mando in, and then he forced him in, like used to force him, donk. He slides him back at donk, and it was brilliant. So you've got a picture here. Let me see if I can load it. So these chaps,
the little Anzella droid smiths. They're great fun.
They are, and I also really like that they're all puppets, and I've seen the behind the scenes and all the guys with the green screen sticks and stuff like that on them, and the heads are animatronics, I guess, and they're brilliantly done. And a bit like with Grogu, there's a sort of slight weirdness to their movements, which tell you that they're puppets and they're not CG, and I love that it's they're really there. I know, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, oh, they've done this all practical and better than CGI and stuff. Well, I think, there's a use for both of these things,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
it's
Yeah.
particularly nice that they're, puppets like that. And I also really like that there appeared to be quite a bit of stop motion in places, like when they got
The
on that,
robots.
yeah, that guard the huts thing, and then when they
Mm.
were on that two-legged thing, mini AT-AT thing near the beginning, when they escaped and ran down the snowy mountain, that kind of looked like it was done like that as well. So it was good that they kind of went old school with it, and I've seen some behind the scenes pictures of that stuff being done as well, which was cool to see. So yeah, really mixed a lot of old school and modern techniques,
Yeah, yeah.
which I thought was good. So
Well,
you
the Ansel, yes, go
no,
on.
no, go on.
I was going to say the Ansellas are great. I mean, they're one of the things I really enjoyed from the what was it called, the Rise of Skywalker, the last of the sequel stories, which is where they first appeared. So they're
Yes.
very much a kind of J.J. Abrams thing, and I believe, I could be wrong, so I think I saw it somewhere where he did the original voice for the little fellas,
Oh, really?
which is quite fun, and and it's interesting what you're saying about the whole sequel thing, because Freya, my daughter, much prefers those to any of the other Star Wars, because again, she's the right sort of age, and because also the lead character, played by Daisy Ridley, Rey, is much more her kind of character. She's who she vibes with. It, Rey gets her into the movies a lot more so than Luke Skywalker does, and I
Yeah.
think this is something that a lot of the older fans are struggling with as well. This
Yeah.
shift towards having a strong female lead role, not a secondary role, which Princess Leia really is.
Yeah.
The lead, if you like, is Luke Skywalker and
Yeah.
Han Solo, and then the others kind of just picking up the rear.
And
It's
it's the
very
same.
close, but nonetheless,
Mm.
it's that kind of thing. And I think Star Wars is absolutely right to kind of go down this route.
And it's the same in Marvel, the MCU, as these
Mm.
losers call it, because they can't.
Don't beat around the bush, Geoff.
Well, it is. It's pathetic. They can't bear that.
I
There's,
agree.
there's,
It
a
is.
female
Yeah, just yeah.
lead,
Just can't
let
get
alone
past it, And
No.
I see so many arguments on Star Wars fandom, and just absolutely crucifying the character of Rey. And it's like, well, the only reason that, disguise it however you want. The reason you basically read between the lines, you don't like her because she's a girl.
Yeah.
And she's in charge. It's her movie, regardless of whatever the backstory may or may not have been, or her character development may not have been. It's as solid as any of the other characters in Star Wars, which, to be fair, are mostly kind of 2D anyway. They don't have an awful lot of depth. They have some depth. Most of that comes from the actors rather than the scripts. I feel the way they play it. You know what I mean? So there's not a huge amount of. Not usually a huge amount of depth in Star Wars until quite recently. I think a lot of the new sort of the new iterations are kind of picking up and building more depth, particularly through the TV series, which is, I think, why Mandalorian and Grogu is partly so good, because it does explore. It takes the time to build and develop a really strong relationship between these two and forge out their place in the cosmos.
And I think that was probably one of the things that got me on it. I wouldn't have carried on watching if it hadn't had that. And so I think people can dress it all up as much as they like, but it's obvious there's an issue with women in stuff, and they don't like it, much like they don't like race swapping and things like that.
Yeah, again, which is why I think another Star Wars series, The Acolyte, kind of failed after its first season, or wasn't renewed, because of the groundswell of, it was almost like campaigned hatred against it. And I loved it. I thought it was good. The excuse was that it kind of contradicted something which had been said in a previous Star Wars story or comic or something. A minor thing, a minor character shouldn't have been there because the timeline doesn't work for them to be there. So what? Get over it. You know what I mean? So, but the main character was a young black woman. And you just kind of wonder, I'm not saying it is that, but you just kind of wonder, is there something in there that kind of...
You're not saying it is, but it is, Let's be honest, Why do they hate the Marvels so much? Female lead, black female lead, you know,
I hope it's not the case. I really do, but I suspect there's something in there. If not with we're not with all the haters, but with a strong element within that, I guess.
Yes, it is definitely that. So, you've got a picture here. Let me bring it up.
Go on.
Zeb.
What's that? Zeb Aurelius. Oh
this
man,
guy.
I'm so happy to see him in the movie. Saw him in the trailer first off, and I thought, I love it when they bring. That's him in Star Wars Rebels, the animated series.
So he wasn't in the series. But
he had a little cameo in one of the season 3 episodes.
I thought I did think I recognised him, but
kind of starts hooking up with the Rebels more strongly.
Sorry.
So yeah, Zeb's great. I love Zeb, and he's voiced by the same guy who does him in the animated series as well.
That's
and
good.
This is one thing I like about Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, probably more than anything, because Dave Filoni is kind of, at least in my mind, the real steward of current Star Wars.
Yes, he seems to be.
He's an absolute fanboy through and through, and he was kind of George Lucas's apprentice, brought on to basically kind of steer the whole Clone Wars thing. And there's a brilliant story of him receiving the call, because he used to be an animator for Lucasfilm, I think, and he's working on some projects and things. Was it? I can't remember. Anyway, but everyone knew that he was a big Star Wars fan, and he went to have an interview with George Lucas about this new top secret project, blah 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 blah. Did some drawings and various other things. Went back to his office and carried on working. And then got a phone call from George Lucas saying, basically, you got the gig, or from his office or something. I might be making a real mess of it. And he didn't believe him. He thought it was a wind-up. He thought it was somebody else in the office winding him up. And he almost lost the job because he was telling him to go get stuffed. I don't believe you. And it's like, no, genuinely, you've got the job. We want you on to lead this project, And he's like, well, seriously, really? Yeah. You're not winding me up. No, it's genuine. I thought
that's brilliant.
It's quite funny,
Yeah, I think they both seem, but Dave particularly seemed really passionate about it all,
he just kind of gets it,
Yeah.
And the animated series, I mean, particularly the Clone Wars, where a lot of this comes from, because Rot of the Hutt is in the very first episode of the Clone Wars animated series. Really? It's part of the mission. They have to go in. He's been kidnapped, and Senator Palpatine needs the Jedi to basically rescue him. So Ingo, Anakin Skywalker, and his young Padawan Ahsoka, who's brand new to them. So it sets up the whole thing of that. So, but of course, Rotto is only a little baby Jabba Hutt, his own little baby Hutt by then, and he's quite stinky and everything else, and it's quite funny. And I had no idea that was going to be the crux of the Mando film, But again, it's I love seeing all these little connections across the different Star Wars media, and I think that's going back to what I started saying. I think Dave Filoni can pull all those things. A lot of them are, his ideas and whatever, and it's like, what we're seeing now in Star Wars and what we had with the Clone Wars and the other animated series is like, they're kind of doing what Big Finish does for Doctor Who, which is stitch all the different, fill the gaps basically, and create new storylines, new characters. I mean, the Mandalorian TV series 2, 3, I think, kind of carried on the whole Mandalorian saga, which had been explored in the Clone Wars, and for me is one of the best narrative threads within the Clone Wars. There's a lot of them going on, and that is absolutely one of the best. They really dive into the whole thing, and I'm going off on a little tangent here, but it's mad because the whole Mandalorian epicness of everything stems from like 2 or 3 lines in the novelization of The Empire Strikes Back, or the script of The Empire Strikes Back, where they're describing Boba Fett as wearing a Mandalorian, the armor of a Mandalorian, a once proud warrior race, or race of warriors that have been pretty much crushed by the early Empire or something, and it's like, and it all came from literally just that, and it's just brilliant. And so I really liked series 2 and 3 of The Mandalorian, where they start to tie off the loose ends left from that narrative, and also the narrative that was carried on through Star Wars Rebels as well, which is where Zeb Aurelius is from, as I said. And having him in there kind of just makes it feel like a cemented whole, complete universe where everything's kind of connected. Different characters have their own stories. They'll go off and do their own thing, then they'll connect and move on to do something else, and it just the whole thing kind of comes alive in that way. And if my little 6 or 7-year-old self could see what Star Wars has become now, he would be massively excited. What am I saying? He is excited. I'm excited right now. I'm still there, you know.
It's a shame that others can't, isn't it? But
but you know, I'm not going to let them rob me of my joy.
Well, I hope that, you know, Filoni and everyone see that there has been a really positive response to the film and filter out the you know, the sort of negativity, because I mean, it's done okay at the box office, and you know, I'm sure they would have liked a bit more, but I did read that it's been sort of semi done as a test to see whether streaming characters will translate into cinema characters, you know, because I think they tried that with the Marvels, you know, and it it didn't work on that. But I also think the strike
that was COVID affected, and
it was, and the strike was on. I can't believe, you know, a Marvel film would have made that small amount of money normally, but I hope that, you know, they don't go, oh, okay, well, you know, Mandalorian only made X amount of money, you know, let's not do another film, because quite often, you know, second film, third film will make more money. You know, if they'd looked at the numbers of the first Captain America, Thor, Ant-Man and Iron Man films, we'd have had no MCU, because they would have just gone, they've only made 400 million, you know. So yeah, I do hope that you know, the dark corners of the internet are not listened to, and you know, the sort of general response and stuff is you know, taken into consideration. So I'm just going to look up quickly, which is it done
what
worldwide.
What are you looking up? What you doing?
257 million worldwide at the moment.
Oh, what, the box office?
Yeah, which is not huge. But you know,
it's not huge, but it's probably a lot better than it would get if it was done on a streaming platform. So
well, yeah, and also, like, you know, what did they expect it to make? You know, that's
I
the
think
thing.
as long as it covers its losses, that's that's number one target, isn't it? Break even.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's a perception these days that everything needs to hit $1 billion to be a success, and
there's a perception that everything costs tens of billions, hundreds of billions to make a movie these days, which is crazy.
You know? Yeah, I'm sure it's probably been fine. So let me bring up another picture here. So where is it? There we go.
Oh,
so
Embo.
So this chap, so tell me a bit about him, because he looked really cool.
He's very cool. Yeah, so he's another character who appeared first in the Clone Wars as a member of Boba Fett's kind of bounty hunter gang in an episode, and I think they were going to kill him off at either the end of that episode or the end of another episode, and they didn't, because they kind of thought he was sort of cool. But he's kind of acquired his own sort of life story across comics and spin-off games and things and what have you. So and he speaks. So he's a character who he's kind of like a sort of bounty hunter warrior monk, I think, in a way.
Robot?
No, he's not. He's a dude. He's definitely organic in there. I think, you know, initially you think he could be a robot, or is he a robot?
I wasn't.
I think
quite
they
sure.
kind of lean on that maybe in the films. It's very difficult to tell in the movies. But he's like a man of few words, but he does speak, but he speaks in his own language. So whereas every character in Star Wars speaks in basically English or Huttese or something that can be more easily translated, or at least most people seem to understand it. Nobody understands really what he says, but he's a very kind of meditative sort of assassin type. But he will kill anybody if he's paid to kill them, you know. So but he has a very sort of spiritual approach to it. He's deadly, you know. But so you pay him, he's on your side. Great, brilliant. He'll kill the bad guys. If he's working for the bad guys, you're in trouble. So he's that kind of dude. But yeah, again, another character who's is really good to see in there, you know. And it might not have been a movie that moved the whole Star Wars lore along, but the fact it kind of just pulled these little characters out every now and then, just to, you know, kind of cemented it in the midst of all of that, but, you know, helped it be its own thing, I guess, which is very good. So yeah, that's him. Embo, he's called.
Yeah, I'm just looking him up. Yeah, he was a good villain. I thought. I liked him.
Yeah, really stylish look as well. You know, it's Star Wars has always been pretty good for instantly memorable or instantly iconic kind of characters, and he's kind of one of them, I think.
Mm. They do love helmets, don't they?
Oh, they do. They do love a good helmet in Star Wars. Well, the weird thing is his spaceship. I forget what it's called. Looks a bit like his helmet.
Crest.
No. The Razor Crest is Mando's spaceship. I mean, Embo's spaceship. The Guillotine. I think it's called the Guillotine, something like that.
Right.
Looks like a bigger version of his helmet.
Yeah.
It's like a flying saucer type with loads of guns and cannons on it and stuff. You know, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Google it if you're looking online. There, you'll see
there's quite a lot of figures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yes.
Very nice. So you thought he was pretty good then, yeah?
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, I liked it.
It's quite deadly, wasn't he? He's quite dangerous in there. You got a sense that, you know, the Mando was up against someone who could actually, you know, take him out if he wasn't careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, it's good. I very much enjoyed it. I'll be looking forward to buying that on
you had a pop
4K.
at me. You had a pop at me not enjoying the music, though, didn't you? Because I did text you. I said I really enjoyed it, but don't get me wrong. I did like the music. There was just a few certain points where he went all techno, and certainly in cinema I was in, it was just hurting my ears. I just couldn't. It got in the way of the film at certain points. I'm not a massive fan of that kind of music anyway. And I know, was it Ludwig Göransson, isn't it? He's a brilliant musician. And I love his score for the TV series. And the TV series does go a bit techno on occasion as well, certainly when they get into the cities and things. But I don't know, it might have just been a sound system, but I didn't enjoy those. I didn't enjoy that noise more than anything. I think that was the thing. But
I
the
love
recorder stuff and the big, because he plays off this. He's literally got walls of synthesizers, hasn't he, in his kind of studio, and he just creates all his stuff almost like analog, you know, and then sort of does stuff to it. And I just had the image of the fact that he let Grogu go loose on it all, and just Grogu was just twiddling all the knobs and coming out all kinds of weird shit. So.
Yeah, he is really good. I think his music, and I like the kind of mix of the electronic bit to the
woodwind, the recorders, and stuff.
And I liked it when it went
certainly
kind of
very distinctive. That's for sure.
He's really good. So that was a cracking film. I really enjoyed that. So listeners, if you're still listening, let us know what you thought of it. If you've seen it, I'd love to know. So Paul, we had a couple of voice notes, I think, didn't we? Would you like to play one of them?
Yes, we did. Should we hear from William?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So William, who I think has been on here before, if it's the same William, let's find out.
Just saw Sophie Aldred and the Seventh Doctor in Sale Library today on the 6th of June. It was today. And they were great. This is my first Doctor Who actors I've met. There's a bit of a queue, but that's to be expected, I think. But overall great experience, and what lovely people they are.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. You know what? It's
bring us back to Doctor Who. There you go.
Yeah, it's when you get to go and meet someone that you like, it is quite special, really. When I went to meet Jodie, that was brilliant. William, I know he's rediscovered 13-0. Hopefully, he might get to meet Jodie at some point. And to be honest, I'm feeling like I probably should do again, because it's quite a while ago that I did it. My hair's still brown in the photo, which shows how long ago it is. And it is.
I'm not saying anything.
It's a lovely thing when you get to meet them, and it's only brief, but like Jodie made it really special, and a couple of the bands I like, I've met them, and they take the time to talk to you, and I know this doesn't always happen, and there's tales of some people who've been blunt and rude and blah blah blah, but I think in my experience, most of the people I've met, the only person I'd say who wasn't sort of super.
You're gonna name and shame.
Warm. No, it wasn't name and shame. It was Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead, and he was just like so cool, and he was never going to be like super pally or anything like that, and
kind of aloof.
but it was kind of what I expected, but then in contrast, Andrew Lincoln was really friendly, and we had a little chat with him and stuff. So it's not always nice getting to meet people, and
it is, when
that they live up to things.
Yeah.
So do you want to play the other voice message we've got?
Yes. Who is this from? Let's have a listen to this other voice note. All right, Paul and Geoff, it's Dave Tomato Fingers here. I hope you're well. Look, thanks for playing me voice note on your podcast a few weeks back. It was a little bit weird because I was listening to your podcast and I heard my voice coming out the internet and I thought, oh, was that? I thought someone was in my house, but it was only me. So anyways, I've got a new question for you, and it's this. Do yous, Paul and Geoff, ever go to a Doctor Who convention? When they get all the actors who play in Doctor Who and the companions and the directors and the producers and writers sitting on stage talking about when they got really, really drunk on vodka Red Bulls or something. And anyway, that'd be good because I've been to a few conventions, but the security guards won't let us in, and I've got to stand out in the rain, which is a little bit cold. So if you are going to a convention, then let us know, because maybe you can let us in through the back door or something like that. That'd be really good. Anyways, thanks, Paul and Geoff. Keep up the good work on the podcast. Cheers. You must be scraping the bottom of the barrel now, but I've got a few ideas, even though there's nothing on TV for Doctor Who or anything like that. But I've got some good vegetable stories with proper adventures concerning carrots and swede, particularly swede. But I'll let you know. I'll send you an email or something. Just let me know what your email address is, or I'll maybe leave a few voice notes. Anyway, bye for now. See yous. Keep up the good work, Paul and Geoff. Cheers, Dave. You're very kind. We don't have an email, sadly.
No. And also, I don't know how you'd manage to type it with tomato fingers. I mean,
exactly.
Sausage fingers. I can imagine.
Careful. He's a fan. Dave is a big fan. Don't diss the fans, man.
Well, to answer your question, Dave, that you sent in to us, we have been to a convention. We went last year, didn't we? Just over a year ago to
we went to
MCM. MCM Comic Con, yeah.
It's my first ever time. Does that count as a convention?
Well, it is really. The thing with MCM is they don't have a huge number of kind of guests at them. London Film and Comic Con, which is where I met Jodie, tends to have more. They've had Benedict Cumberbatch has been there, and all sorts of quite big names and a lot of Who stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So that's probably better an event for guests, I think. I'm trying to think, was it MCM? One of them though had Tom Hiddleston. To promote series 2 of Loki, and that was a really good panel, and had
that was good.
I've blanked her name, who played female Loki, and Jonathan DiMatteo.
Sophia DiMatteo.
That's it, yeah. And they also had Jonathan Majors there, and he was also really entertaining. So it's a shame that he imploded his career. But that was good. So I do enjoy a Comic-Con, and I had been talking to Al Dewar and a couple of the other guys about us going to something, but the event has been cancelled because the cost of getting guests over from the States was just too high for them, so they decided to pull the plug, which is fair enough, I guess.
Fuel prices are on the up.
Yeah,
make the billionaires rich.
Yes, if
Richer.
It becomes unaffordable, then that kind of makes sense. But yes, I'm sure we'll go to something again. Yeah. So before we wrap up, we got a couple of games to talk about, haven't we? So
you've been playing something.
Well, no, not playing, but today they just revealed Resident Evil Veronica, which is a remake of Code Veronica, which is a game that people have wanted for years. And I remember I did play it when it first came out, but I never finished that one. I don't really know why. So this one will be kind of all new to me, and they're sort of making a big thing about the V part for 5, because it's sort of the 5th game really in the series. These remakes that they've done, have been absolutely brilliant, really. So very much looking forward to it. I think it's next year. It's coming out, so waiting for the pre-order to go up on that, and then I shall be picking that one up.
Nice, brilliant.
And
to me, I've been in the Star Wars universe. I never seem to leave it for that long, to be honest. But I think, as we've said on one of our time space visualizer insets, I've been playing Star Wars Outlaws. To be fair, I've nearly finished it. I've kind of been taking my time a little bit, just finding all the secrets and all the treasures and all the upgrades and various different outfits and things. But it's a great game. I love it. I haven't really sort of got on with most Star Wars games, video games. I played Star Wars Battlefield 1 and 2, or Battlefront rather. I didn't really sort of enjoy either of those. And I played the Jedi Fallen Order, which I kind of liked, but got really bored with after a certain point because it was just on rails. But I do like a good RPG game. So RPG in the Star Wars universe is just brilliant for me because, and the great thing is you can find all these different sort of locations that they're in the movies. So there's me looking down on what looks very much like Luke Skywalker's home from the original series. And, things like the cantina, we've got Jabba's palace and, all that sort of thing as well, which is great. And it looks gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. There's a little shot of me out on the lake in my speeder bike. It's a great thing about games, doing that photo mode where you just host everything and you choose your sort of frame and everything like that. So, it's a good
stuff,
game. And I'll be sorry when it's over and I've just got one more mission to do. And then that's it. I can probably go back in and do a few other things, but yeah, it's really enjoyable. I really
sounds
like it.
A bit like maybe the equivalent of the Avatar Frontiers game.
I think it is. Well, it's Ubisoft, same publishers. So it might be a different part of Ubisoft. I can't remember which Ubisoft part it is, but nonetheless, it has that kind of Assassin's Creed sort of level of detail. And Vista, it's really good, and the missions are quite varied. There's a little bit of go here, fetch that, but not a lot of it. And just the whole being in Star Wars and messing around with Lando Calrissian and stuff and punching it through hyperspace is just brilliant. It does make my inner 7-year-old very, very happy. So what can I say?
Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can load a picture in quickly. The photo mode is great fun. The one on Frontiers of Pandora is a little.
I keep seeing that on offer, and I keep thinking, should I get it? Should I not? I don't know.
It is really good
because I'm not as invested in the Avatar world as you are, so I don't know.
No. I'm just going to bring up a picture quickly. I thought I could just drop it in, but it won't let me. Its photo mode is a little bit limited, perhaps, but you can still get some great stuff. And where's the picture I wanted to show?
I'm thinking of going back into Cyberpunk afterwards. I played that a couple of times now, and I want to play it again. I was getting that itch. Because it is really good.
Yeah, I was interested in that because it was not great when it came out, but apparently they've made it really good. Look at all the
reviews people are saying it is completely turned because they couldn't carry on doing with that launch, that horrific launch, the most horrific launch, and yet now one of the best games, best RPG sci-fi games on the market. It is brilliant.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
What's his name? Keanu's in there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Keanu's in it. Yeah. I've spent hours in Pandora taking pictures and.
It's beautiful. It does look nice.
I mean it's fantastic, and I'm going to just load up another one quickly now because I'm into it, there's so many varied locations within it, capturing fantastic images. I've just spent so long doing it. Brilliant. I love it. Yeah, it's really good.
Sweet. Nice. Brilliant.
Excellent. Well, that's probably it for this week. Yeah, do let us know what you thought of this non-Who
it's been
talk.
An interesting chat, Mr.
Yeah,
Geoff.
well, it's been good. I've have to admit, I felt a little bit
we
like
covered a lot of ground in here.
Slightly scraping the bottom of the barrel at the moment with stuff. So this has worked out nicely.
This is the sort of thing we would talk over in the pub, isn't it? Really?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So we're not getting drunk, so we're not
No.
actually standing on tables shouting and screaming into the void at each
No.
other. So that's it. It's good fun.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know what you think, and we will be back next week with more of this or something else altogether. You'll
Indeed.
have to
Let's
wait and
see.
see.
Depends if there's any Doctor Who news between now and then, really, doesn't it? We've got something to talk about. But...
If Russell's talk of a press release manifests, then maybe there'll be something to talk about there, but we'll see.
We shall
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take it easy out there. We'll see you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.